Recently, I covered the origins of Call of Duty Zombies, from its humble beginnings to the game that it became. I was a massive fan, so I thought, why not steal that game design, mix it up a bit and create something new. So welcome to the first devlog for
Insert name here.
a zombie survival, round-based game heavily, and I mean heavily, inspired by the original Call of Duty Zombies maps. Over the next month or so, I'm going to hopefully have a working demo of a top-down, round-based survival game with permanent progression elements. If you've seen some of my other devlogs, you may realise I'm not too great at releasing or even finishing projects, so it's time to make some use of that. As I already have a massive library of various game components, I'm going to grab all of them and smash them together into something complete. So I have my old project, the Command Donuts, which was the subject of my first devlogs, and wouldn't you know, it's a top-down shooter. So from this, I can yoink the movement, shooting, damage, health, AI, tile map, graphic settings, animation settings, spawning, dying, weapon data, weapon controllers, timer, utilities, ammo types, interaction, hit detection. For the art style, I made a game called Allied Defense, a top-down World War II themed shooter, where I used this pixel art style which I really like. It's detailed but not too crazy. The guns are already pretty good. I spent quite a while on them, but I'm not sold on the player model, but that will get reworked later down the line. So I'm going to work on the prototype with all these assets, and I will be back in however long it takes me to actually get it done.
One eternity later.
The first thing I took on was the enemy AI, and after implementing the one I used previously, I realised that it's kind of awful for this sort of game. It works by casting a bunch of rays out, and if there's an obstacle, it just turns until that obstacle is gone. But when they come up against a doorway, if they turn the wrong way, they'll never make it through, which isn't really the best gameplay in the world, so I had to scrap all of it and try something new. Now obviously, Unity has wide support for a nav mesh. I've used it before quite a few times, but it's more designed for 3D games, which if you couldn't tell, this is not. Luckily however, I found a great extension on GitHub that makes the workflow a lot nicer for 2D games, and includes quite a few components that are perfect for what I need. So I went ahead and tried to add that to the package manager, realised I can't because I didn't have Git installed Git, I have to restart my PC, great, restarted, loaded up Unity, got the link to the GitHub page again, added it to the package manager, and okay, now I have the package installed. The first part of the setup was adding a navmesh object to the scene, with the surface and collect sources 2D components from the package. As I've used tile maps for the walls and floor, I simply had to add the navigation modifier to each of them, state if they are walkable or not, and that's literally it, the navmesh is done. As for the zombies, they need to become agents, and have a class to control their movement. So I quickly wrote that up. All it needs to do is update the agent's destination with the target's current position every frame. This target is a transform, so it could be any of the potential players in the map, a distraction device, something for an event, anything I like down the line. One thing that was a bit distracting in the demo was my choice of crosshair. When I started the project, I didn't have a sprite for the crosshair, so naturally I went for the second best thing, a massive jeep. But I guess it's not quite as good as an actual crosshair, so I opened up Paint and drew a single line with some highlights. The reason I drew one line instead of a whole crosshair is because I can then add 4 segments individually, animate them and create a variety for the different weapons, without having to hand draw the animations every single time. With that in place, I slapped the 4 objects in, added an animator to the parent, and started creating basic clips for the shooting. For now it simply expands and then slowly returns to the starting position, but having this already set up allows me to add to it later. For the cursor, I wanted it to behave the same, whether it was controlled by a mouse, controller, or even touchscreen, and I wanted it to move freely within a locked circle. I got this working by simply clamping the cursor distance to the player, and can change this value depending on the range of the weapon. The guns are handled just the same as they were in Command Donuts, with a weapon controller that handles all the control, and a scriptable object that stores the data for easy swapping. Attacking in this game is going to be handled by raycasts as opposed to the Command Donuts, which uses projectile objects. Currently when the fire button is pressed, you can see this lovely animation plays. The muzzle flash goes off, and the cursor plays its firing animation too. The current ammo value goes down, checks for reloading, and acts accordingly. It has everything in place for the shooting, except for one small part, which is actually firing anything. So I first need to calculate a direction for the ray to fire off in, which will be the direction the gun is facing, plus a bit of variance depending on the gun's inaccuracy. Then, by using Raycast 2D, I can fire it a certain distance, again depending on the weapon's range, and then get a list of all the enemies and surfaces it hit along the way. How the bullet penetration works is each gun will have a value for their maximum penetration value, and each target will have a value for their thickness. I then just iterate through the hits until that total goes above the gun's capability, where the bullet then stops. That gives me a list of all the enemies that have actually been hit by the shot, so then I just need to call the damage function on all of these enemies and the shooting is almost complete. As it is a top-down game, there's not a nice way of doing headshots or any damage based on precision for such small targets. So instead, the guns will have a critical damage chance, which is where larger rifles and snipers will excel. This will simply be a random number that will be determined per shot and will add a damage multiplier when the random number lands. The aim for this project is each game lasts for a maximum of 30 minutes or so, and by completing a run, the player earns points and other rewards to improve stats, unlock new weapons, perks and levels. So while this is inspired by COD Zombies, I want to take it in a new direction, and roguelites are all the rage in the indie game scene, and I love the sense of progression, so that's where I want this to go. But first I need to work out what the points actually mean, how they're earned, and what they can be spent on. In the classic Zombies gameplay, the player gains 10 points per hit on a zombie, 50 for a kill, and 100 for a headshot or knife. Now, I like the idea that some guns exist purely to farm points instead of actually killing zombies, as it adds a risk-reward factor to the game, so I'm going to work with a similar system. For this prototype, each hit on a zombie will grant the player 1 point, with a kill granting 20. Within each run to begin with, the player can only purchase the basics such as ammo and health, but after a bit of progression, will have access to more gear to better their chances of survival. These can be with the inclusion of upgrade stations, sentries and defences, among others. As I said earlier, the survival portion will be a round-based game, and so I need to get these spawners in. For this, I need individual spawn points scattered around the edge of the map, with a controller to oversee these, and spawn the zombies randomly around the playable areas. This controller stores the current wave the game is on, and would scale the zombies' health the later the game goes on for. You know how all this works. So I got all this in, recycling previous spawning systems from Command Donuts, and now each wave, the zombies are spawned and won't end until all of them are dead. I then broke the map down into zones, enabling only the zones that are close to the player and are currently accessible. And with all that together, here's how the gameplay currently looks and plays. The main thing that's clearly still missing is the visual style of the game, which is something that I'm going to be focusing on quite a bit over the next few weeks or so, along with a friend of mine, to get the game looking good as well as playing nicely. For my next video, I'm going to have a slightly different approach, where instead of documenting progress as I go, I'm just going to focus on development all at once, and then recap everything after the fact. But anyway, thank you for watching this video. Let me know down below your thoughts on the project, about the gameplay, or anything else. Make sure you like the video, subscribe so you don't miss future uploads, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.